Hey gang, I'm Cole Cheney and this is episode 48 of the CBD Source podcast. Happy Friday from Zombieland. This is the CBD Source podcast, your source for all things CBD. Coming up on the show, we've got one of our favorite cannabis advocate guests back on the podcast, and this time he's calling in from a doctor-ordered quarantine because he's infected with the coronavirus. We recorded the interview on St. Patrick's Day, and as you'll see from listening to it, not only do things escalate day to day in the midst of this global pandemic, but a lot of what I predicted in this interview would happen just in the few days since we spoke has already come true. Since last week, after myself, Chef Ryan Weber, and vape expert Anthony Maltese were sent home to work remotely, COVID-19 has taken over the news cycle and has affected everyone's lives. Schools have all been closed, and in many states, only essential businesses are allowed to remain open. Several states are issuing directives to stay in your home as much as possible, the only exceptions being essential jobs, errands such as buying groceries and medicine, as well as exercise. So let's go over it. Broadway is shut down, gyms, movie theaters, malls, Madison Square Garden, Carnegie Hall, entertainment venues, museums, the New York Stock Exchange, concerts, parades, Disneyland, and Disney World now, clothes stores, hair salons, barbershops, tattoo parlors, bars, and nightclubs. The late night shows are all on hiatus. A lot of restaurants are closing because they're no longer allowed to seat anyone. They just can do like delivery, DoorDash type stuff. Bartenders and servers who rely on tips are all screwed. Dispensaries are selling out of weed. Purell and toilet paper are sold out everywhere. Sports are dead. Concerts are dead. Musicians touring is dead. Any sort of public gathering was capped at 500, then it was like 200, then 20. Now it's done. Just don't publicly gather. I want to date stamp this episode. As of today, Friday, March 20th, there have been 276,007 coronavirus cases in the world and 11,401 deaths. 19,650 of those were in America. Of those, we have 263 total deaths, 147 people who have recovered, 19,240 active cases, and 64 serious critical condition patients. So, let's cannabis right into this interview, shall we? Our guest for today was a race car driver before his career literally hit a wall. Throughout his life, he was diagnosed with non-ambulatory chronic Lyme disease, severe neuropathy, severe brain injury, severe refractory epilepsy, right eye blindness, and several forms of cancer. He got extremely dependent on the opioids he was prescribed to deal with his injuries, and eventually, through a very serendipitous circumstance, was introduced to CBD in 2013. Now he's living life in almost full recovery, which he attributes to his use of cannabis concentrates, THC and CBD, and whole plant. The story of him meeting his fiancé through his Cannabis Compassion program was recently written about in High Times magazine. I recommend, after listening to this, go back and listen to episode 18 when we first met him, and episode 36 when he talked about CBD drug interactions. Gang, let's give a big CBD Source podcast welcome to Mike Robinson.
Gang, you're listening to the CBD Source podcast.
So how are you doing, man? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I would expect to feel a little bit more sick than I do. But we're in such a weird situation here. We're in this situation where you're sick. You wish you wouldn't even have called your doctor, because you call the doctor and you think you're going to go get this test, and then you find out that you've got the symptoms, and you could be positive, and then you get referred to a website and go through this question answer thing. Mm-hmm. And this is what's going on in California, at least. And then you end up paying for a virtual reality appointment because they don't want to see you in person in case you truly have the virus.
Right, yeah.
And then in that appointment, you disclose enough information, including your name, address, social security number, and all of this information. They know who you are, where you are. Now you're on a database. Now you're ordered to mandatory stay at home. Now, this was a horrible thing a few days ago, but now in other California counties, they're ordering everybody to stay at home.
Yeah. Where are you located?
I'm in Santa Barbara.
Uh-huh. Any idea how you might have gotten in contact with somebody who had it? I mean, I guess it's just everywhere, really.
I don't know. The thing about it is right now is they are only testing people that are in negative pressure isolation in the hospital, already symptomatic to the point of being extremely sick. People that can't even breathe with 104-degree fever.
Right.
Now you get a test. I'm not even confirmed positive. I'm suspected to be positive.
What symptoms were you showing that made you take action to talk to your doctor and everything?
Lung pain, breathing difficulty, shortness of breath, sore throat, sort of like a razor blade kind of strep throat feeling, which is still persisting. I mean, I'm concerned. Don't get me wrong. I'm worried, but I'm also doing what I do. I'm using so many different cannabinoids. It's incredible. I've got acidic compounds left and right. I got different terpenes. I've got friends coming by bringing this terp extract, this and that, and we're just doing every last thing you can think, juicing CBG, CBD, cold pressing CBG and CBD to get the acidic elements.
Uh-huh.
I mean, everything from eating weed to juicing weed to smoking weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, that's great that you have access to all of it. That's awesome.
It's a matter of persistence. And it's a message I send to a lot of people who are sick and contact me and seem like I just don't know where to go. And, we're working on something pretty huge in California and actually in a couple other states with the Compassion program right now that I can't go into great detail about.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's a thing about persistence. Even I can run out of supplies. I'm really well known on social media, in the public. Right now there is no public. The public's canceled.
Yeah, the public is canceled. It's crazy.
So, I can't drive, and even if I could drive, I can't leave my home. And even if I could leave my home, some of the people I know can't leave theirs. So
right.
We're in a situation where literally everybody can run out of everything. And that's why one of the big messages I'm sending right now, being sick and being one of the first people I knew of in the cannabis movement that got grounded, at home, is sending a message to share. Look at what you have. For example, I make various oils, and I'll take THC plant material, for example, and CBD plant material sometimes, and I will put it into a container and put it up in the garage. For example, THC plant material, I'll put it up there to decarb and oxidize, and THC slowly turns into CBNA. Mm-hmm. So you have THCA, THC, CBNA through this reaction of oxidization. So pulling out that CBNA plant matter is just old weed. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it can be crushed up, put in a capsule. Now you're taking an acidic form of the plant that will help modulate your T cell counts, help your immune system in a radical way. Mm-hmm. I mean, then you look at CBD, CBG. I mean, these plant strains, these are really cheap right now. For a couple $100, you can get a pound of either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And you can grind that cannabis up and put it into a capsule and have one heck of an immune system booster. I won't sit and lay claim to the fact that cannabis kills superbugs, even though research proves that it does. But I don't want to make any medical claims. I don't want to violate any laws and say that cannabis can kill a virus on contact, even though my $490 high-powered microscope shows me examples of this quite often, and I sort of have a really good example and host right now to use. I can grasp in my own skin. I can prick my own blood, put it into a petri dish. I can drop some CBGA on it and see what happens. So there's a lot of ways that we can protect ourselves, and there's a lot of ways we can protect our friends. And I think a really important thing right now for everybody during this time is to look at our friends, people we don't know. How can we help them? Who doesn't have not just cannabis, but toilet paper or water?
Yeah.
We're going through a very scary time. I don't care what conspiracy people might want to believe in. It doesn't matter to me, because the bottom line of it is we're all on lockdown and we're all going through it together, regardless of what this truly is.
Yep.
So in the meantime, we need to try to help each other.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. Today's St. Patrick's Day, but no bars are open here in New York. No bars are open in Ireland. Like, it is a non-holiday. The holiday is gone, basically wiped off the map. And the longer this goes on, the more normal things that people are used to on certain days of the year, it's just going to, we're going to have to postpone it's a postponed reality right now. We're all in this lockdown, like you were saying. Myself, our cannabinoid chef Ryan Weber, and Anthony are all home, working from home, built, our own studios up at our houses so we can keep the podcast going. Because obviously, the podcast isn't going away. We want to keep this running all through anything that's going on. I don't know how long this is going to take. The estimates keep changing. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you saw Trump's speech earlier today, but they were saying the little, I don't know what his name is, the guy who's in charge, one of the guys that's in charge of this on the health side, was saying that they don't want to put a finite number on it. They don't want to say X number of weeks, because then they'll be called on it when it doesn't, when it goes beyond those weeks. Yeah, they can't, they have no clue.
Don't know. This is something that's been brewing for quite some time.
Yeah.
It started in January in Santa Barbara. The Department of Health has without a doubt confirmed that earlier, about a month ago, in early February, a wave of strep throat came through here that they're now determining was not strep throat. It indeed was affected the University of Santa Barbara, the UCSB students. Several have been held in isolation after being in direct contact with a group of Chinese volleyball players, I believe, or it could have been basketball.
Right.
It was in a sporting event. And anyway, so there's a group, and they've been held in isolation not too far away from where I'm at. And this is one of the things that they're looking at right now, is that other sicknesses that came up could have tested positive, like strep throat, and been something else. And when you think about it, even though I don't know this group of young gals from the university, I know people that are, for example, Genevieve's in-home support service, or her in-home therapists that come in and do behavioral therapy. Now that's still going on. These are younger individuals that go to the university. Right. They know people. So what we're looking at now is arm's length relationships where we know people that know somebody that is in contact. And that's why everything is shut down. So people need to realize everything's not shut down because it's just one huge sarin gas bomb going off, It's shut down so we stop that arm's length or that certain degree of contact. And in the meantime, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. Yesterday, I was in multiple VR conferences. So things are going by virtual reality. Yep. Other people are setting up shop. I'm setting up a podcast. Not a podcast. I'm sorry. I'm on a podcast with you.
Yeah.
I'm setting up
You're guesting on podcasts.
I'm setting up a video camera because, I am guessing probably every day.
That's awesome.
Because we've got the time and we need to talk about things. I think people need to stay focused on the fact that today is St. Patrick's Day. It's not canceled.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
life isn't canceled.
That's
We're
true.
just changing things.
We can get our take. Brett was asking me earlier, do you want to DoorDash some corned beef hash here, just so we can at least have something that seems sort of like St. Patrick's Day going on? You know what I mean? It's like the one day of a year that I eat that kind of stuff, and now it's like, oh well, that's going away. I guess we could DoorDash it. There's still restaurants open for delivery only now, like in my area.
Now, same here. There's some delivery only restaurants going on, and right now Anne-Marie is in the kitchen, and I just heard her talking to Genevieve because Genevieve loves for us to repeat the Simpsons episodes that she watches and talk about carousel. She likes it very animated. So I can hear Anne-Marie while I'm talking to you, talking to Genevieve in the kitchen. And she's in there making her corned beef hash. She's going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Genevieve's biological father was Irish. He passed away about a dozen years ago to an opioid overdose. So when we look at everything, nothing has changed. The reality in our life is still the reality. Genevieve's dad, based on a compassion program and meeting her through that. But her biological father was Irish, and we celebrate this day as St. Patrick's Day. It's that day on the calendar.
Right.
And just because everybody's saying everything is canceled doesn't mean it truly is.
Yeah.
I believe that we need to be mindful of what we type and what we say. The more negative we are, the more we rub off on others. And I'm really pleading with everybody right now that has a platform. If you have a podcast, if you're a journalist, you're a blogger, I'm doing my very best. I wrote one article about what it was like to be told I had to stay home. It was a brutal article. I'm not going to write another one.
Yeah.
I want everybody to do their best to try to focus on issues other than just this lockdown and this virus. I mean, let's continue to talk about, the plant, what CBD can do, what hemp can do, what nature can do for us. Because right now I'm convinced that if I would not have been using heavy acidic compounds from the hemp plant over the last 2 months, I'd probably be extremely sick right now.
Yeah, you definitely. I'd say you definitely have a head start compared to a lot of other people who are just thinking about maybe I should get some CBG or some CBN because you've already got it and you've been using it. So I think that's great. What are the main, like, you're basically experimenting on yourself and you're kind of like our first guinea pig as far as someone in the cannabis community getting this virus. Like what would you recommend? What has been working best for you that you found so far in your cornucopia of cannabinoids?
Well, what's working the best for me is I'm looking at CBGA, and I'm looking at CBGA with CBDA. I'm also looking at THC, acidic compounds. Look at the things that don't get us high. Okay, look at all the acidic compounds. Look at terpenes. The spices of the plant are truly the medicine always. THC is also medicinal. Don't get me wrong. But when we get the juicing, the raw eating of the plant, this is when we're boosting our immune system very, very most. Now, I've also done some playing with some things that are way more advanced as far as dealing with and working through the syntheses of CBGA and CBGB and coming to oxidants. So we're talking about a much more scientific kind of thing. And I don't want to lose people in this, but basically taking CBG in its raw form and working its way through to CBC and working its way through to CBL.
How do you do that?
Now,
how do you take it from CBG to other things?
That's probably like what I would used to, the phrase used to, or the phrase used to be, it's $1 million question or $1 million. I guess it's $1 billion question now.
Yeah.
But this is something that's done through trial and error. It's done in the lab, and it's done through heat. So literally, you're manipulating the cannabinoid to bring it through its first synthase, which would be the acidic move to CBG. And then it moves from CBGA to CBG as a decarboxylation. It gets heated, the acidic chain drops off.
Right.
So what also happens during that time, and people are not aware of this, a lot of people are looking at this little cannabinoid tree, seeing CBGA up on the top of that tree. Okay, and then they see THC and CBD side by side like a brother and sister. Mm-hmm. And CBG being a mommy. Well, those little graphs are missing a very important, very, very important fact. And that's the fact that CBGA also makes CBC. So it just doesn't make as much of it. Mm-hmm. So you've got THC, CBC, and CBD being triplets. There's no brother and sister. There's triplets as far as the kids of that mommy CBG. And literally, when we look at how do we get to something like CBL, well, we've got to go from the mommy CBG through CBC to get to CBL. It's an oxidative form of CBC. So definitely very rare. Would take a lot of advanced knowledge to get to this, but people are advancing in their knowledge by the day. Now, when we look at THC, for example, its oxidative form is CBN. Okay, so this is a good way to understand it a lot better. CBGA creates THCA, which creates THC, which oxidates and creates CBN. Okay, that's a chain to follow, huh? You know?
Let me just put that in perspective. So the THCA, which is the acid form of THC, which unless you decarboxylate it, will not get you high, right? If you leave the THCA out in like an attic or something like that, it transforms, it skips the THC step, or does it decarboxylate into THC and then turn from there into CBN? How does it work? Do you have to decarb it first?
It'll turn to CBN. If it's only heat, it's going to do what I call a transference into, or another term I use is called an oxyreduction. Okay, so it's going to go through a reduction from THC to CBN if heat alone is what's used. Now, light, heat, and time are truly what oxidizes THC into CBNA. So if you want the acidic form of CBN, heat alone is not going to make that happen. It's just going to go THC to CBN.
So if you want to go to create CBN, you're not decarbing it in like a stove or something like that. You're taking your raw cannabis THC heavy flower and leaving it just time, sun, and what's the other thing? A little bit of heat?
Light, heat, and time are the three elements that move THCA down the line. So what you have in your raw plant, okay, as it's sitting and curing, it's a THCA. It cures and curing, and as the plant just goes through the heat of becoming nice and crispy and smokable, okay, and not wet.
Right.
It starts to become THC. If you take that plant, it's a THC bud or plant matter, and put it in a jar and stick it up in your attic for a period of time, it gets exposed to light and heat and time. It then transfers and moves on over, oxidizes to CBNA. Now it's an acidic compound. Now I'm eating that right now. So your biggest question was, what are you using to fight the viruses and to strengthen your immune system? I'm using CBNA, and I can't get CBNA simply by overheating THC and converting.
Right.
Because you can get CBN from overheating THC and converting it to CBN. But in order to get CBNA, you've got to take the plant matter that was THCA and just let it sit for a period of time.
What's that time period? What's the average time period it takes for it to convert over?
I generally go a period of 4 to 6 months.
Holy shit.
It's not going to happen quickly.
So everybody who's now thinking about getting sick or like, I should throw this in a jar, like that's a 4-month from now precaution.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is it's not the number one thing that I would use, because CBN, the decarbed version, is beautiful for modulating T cell counts. So when you're sick, you want to make sure your T cell counts don't go up, because then you're really sick, right? So CBN works fine as it is. So I'm throwing everything at this I can.
Yeah, no shit. That's awesome.
I'm telling you, everything I can. What I have done is, through using what I call an oxy-reductive technique, using heat and some lab equipment, is take CBGA crumble, which includes some terpenes, and heat it, do a melt with it. At a certain temperature, the CBGA converts to CBC. At a certain temperature, CBC oxidizes to another cannabinoid people don't talk much about, CBL. Now, CBL is what I've been using heavily over the last 30 days. Before this even happened, before people were even talking about the coronavirus and whatnot, I was already using CBGA because I was doing heavy R&D on multiple products to aid sobriety, weight loss, weightlifting, all these products that I've been working on, the Genevieve's Dream product line, which is a CBG concoction. Because all this research and development was being done, I had these cannabinoids at hand and was able to continue try. And literally, I treated myself by doing R&D and trying what wasn't working, and trying this mix and trying that mix. And when you do research and development, there's batches you literally dump out,
right,
because it tastes horrible or doesn't work right.
Right.
And it's a sad thing in my life. And as a compassion provider, I have a hard time dumping things out.
Throwing away cannabinoids is like the saddest feeling. The potential was there, and now it's gone. It's so sad.
You can always dump it into something, put a bunch of cream in there, and whip it on up and have a topical.
That's true.
That's what I found in
That's
R&D.
true.
I never dump it out, believe me.
That's good.
I mean, unless it's burnt and destroyed,
right,
or contaminated, of course, then you can't use it. So when we think about, cannabinoid medicine and fighting different types of sicknesses and keeping ourselves healthy, we just go to the basics, what we all learn in the beginning. Cannabis and cannabinoids modulate our homeostasis. They keep our internal cannabinoids operating in concert. They're playing together like a well-organized symphony.
Right.
Without homeostasis, we have the opposite, which is probably what I got going on a little bit, and that's some homeostatic. And that's when our organs are saying, hey, I don't know who you are. Hey, I don't know how you're beating, Mr. Heart. And literally our lungs aren't working with our heart, our liver's not working with our kidneys. And it's important. I mean, the relationship between our organs is more important than the relationship between our spouse, because we won't have one if our organs don't have a relationship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll fail to exist. So it's so important for people right now to look at your bare bones basics for homeostasis. If you don't have acidic compounds, don't get upset and panic. Look at other type of acidic compounds in nature. Look at vitamin C. It's a beautiful acidic compound.
A couple episodes ago, last 2 episodes, we've had Julie E on, who's a insane nutritionist, insanely great one, and she was talking about how much vitamin C is like so important, and how CBD can actually boost your vitamin C. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it does. CBD itself is comprised of just a boatload of vitamins and proteins and omegas. So we're talking about a cannabinoid that is loaded with vitamins. It literally has the structure of vitamins within it. So when you use CBD with vitamins, it makes them exponentially work better. So I concur and agree with her completely. But there's a lot in nature that we can use right now that is acidic. And why do we need acidic compounds? Alkaloids. So quinine is being looked at heavily right now. It's being used in China. And this is a tree bark extract. Quinine people can order on the internet right now. And I'm not suggesting anybody use quinine or anything like that because I can't give medical advice or say, hey, this is what's going to work against a virus.
Right.
But the quinine is heavily used to fight malaria.
Yeah. Just reading about it right now.
Okay. It's on the way to my house. I just heard some noise, and I was hoping it was being delivered, but I'm actually getting the cinchona tree bark and doing an ethanol extract to make my own quinine. Because once again, I don't want something over the counter when I can do an extract from some bark off a tree and make it.
Right.
And when we look at medicine and you go all the way back to aspirin, how did aspirin get made? I mean, at first, you're talking Native Americans scraping some tree bark off and using it. And then literally, not to say something racist, but this is just what we saw in movies. The white man came, and saw the natives scraping the willow bark off and went, wow, we should do that too. And the next thing you know, there was an extract that was liquid. And about 100 years later, there was an actual pill, the very first pill we ever had made, aspirin. And it came from willow bark. So literally, when you look at a lot of things in nature, they have heavy alkaloids. And that's why quinine is used for malaria. That's why people are looking at quinine right now for this virus. There's several doctors that could hear this and say, I can't believe Mike suggested that. Well, guess what, doctors? I'm going to suggest a lot of things you don't because I'm not a doctor. You know what I mean?
You're more like a mad scientist, Mike. You're more like a mad scientist. Like you've got a lab, you've got all the cannabinoids to work with. Like everyone, that's the thing. You've got a little bit of an edge on everybody else who's getting sick and doesn't have this lab. Like say a normal person, you indulge in maybe CBD and possibly THC, and you're thinking like, is there a way that these plants can help me? Like, what can the average person who doesn't have their own lab and $1,000 microscope or whatever, like, what can we do? What can normal people? So you're saying like ordering quinine, possibly CBG, and then using it in its raw form. So it's CBGA, don't decarb it. Like, would you just eat it straight? How are you getting in the CBGA out of the CBG hemp flower?
Well, the one thing I'm doing is grinding it up and eating it straight. So when you ask how can the average person that doesn't have any kind of advanced knowledge treat themselves or protect themselves? Because right now we can't even treat ourselves because there's one test available for every 10,000 Americans.
Oh, it's so nuts.
That's the fact. Yeah. One test for 10,000 people. So you've got to be sick and get sicker, be quarantined and get sicker, and then hopefully maybe qualify. We thought for sure, hey, I beat 3 cancers. I'm a triple cancer survivor in remission.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to test me.
Yeah,
no doubt.
You're not 20 years old. You're not 10 years old or something where people automatically are going to survive this thing. Like you are a little bit older, so you have a higher risk there too. Like it seems a natural fit for them to be like, yeah, we got to run a test on this guy, obviously.
And then, the reason why I came forward was because, I've got some cold-like symptoms. I had strep throat a few weeks back, and I think I should be tested because I'm doing R&D, working on formulations, and actually going to be working on some prototypes pretty soon. And I made a joke. I don't want to be wearing a hazmat suit while I make prototypes for a product that's about to get announced and be crowdfunded, things like that. And this is for a group over in New York and something I've been working on for the last 6 months and several different products. And so So I inquired to be a responsible citizen.
Right.
To say, look, I don't want to somehow, some way give somebody something if I have it. So here, just take some blood and test, right?
Right.
And lo and behold, it's taken days to find out. And I consult from my doctor. So she's literally like my client while I'm hers too. And it's taken her days to dig and dig and dig based on me and get the information to try to order the insurance company to test.
Ugh.
And right now, she just said, Mike, there's nothing I can do. You just need to sit and hold. But I am not releasing you from this home isolation until there is a test available and we test you.
Right. What about, are you quarantining yourself away from your family members, or are you like staying out in your, like...
That's the thing. How do you quarantine yourself away from your family members when your household is also has to stay home? So if your family members are under the same roof, you're
Right.
going to use the same kitchen, you're going to have to eat.
Right.
The air is going to get circulated.
Yeah.
This is an impossible situation.
Yeah, we're not all rich with a mansion that has its own wing just for like one
So we
family
can't, we just
boy in the bubble
go
style.
down certain roads.
Yeah.
When I look on social media, I can't look at the Facebook news feed. People are going down avenues and roads that lead to nowhere but panic and riots. You know, we don't need to go down those roads. Instead, what we need to do as people in the cannabis industry is pull out our grinder, pull out some cannabis, grind up some cannabis, roll a joint, smoke one, and some of that other cannabis flower that was ground up, stuff it in a capsule and take it.
Yeah.
And get some CBG bud. I mean, you can buy it retail pretty cheap.
Yeah.
CBD flower is so inexpensive. Get it, grind it up, or just stick it in your mouth and eat it. Eat raw weed. That's your number one defense. You're getting terpenes, flavonoids. You're getting the cannabinoids. You're getting raw. You're getting everything I could possibly play around with in a lab and make just by eating the cannabis raw.
That's awesome. Yeah, we actually just launched our CBG line, the Catskill Hemp Co. CBG. So we do have that available in all of our stores, all of our CBD source locations. So if you are near a location in New York or Pennsylvania, you know, there are some states like New York and Pennsylvania that aren't legal, you know, so you're not able to go to a dispensary unless you have a medical card. But if you don't even have a medical card, you can still get the CBG just by going to one of our stores. Luckily, that's brand new to the market. So that's kind of cool that there is CBG available in New York, now.
Yeah, I strongly suggest people do so. CBG has to be the number one cannabinoid of choice for me right now.
Where do you get empty capsules? Are you getting that from like Amazon or something?
I get it from Amazon. I get them from the health food store. The health food store is about ready to close down temporarily. So
that's what I'm saying. I'm scared about people not being able to get certain parts of this. You know, like if you can't get capsules,
you can order off Amazon. Amazon's a little delayed. So what you can do, and see, we've got to go beyond panic. Because panic is go to Amazon, go to the drugstore. How do I get the cap? Well, you've got capsules sitting in your house right now, probably with flax in it or something like that. Open one up, dump out what you don't need, and stuff the weed in that you need and take it.
Smart idea,
you know, right? Or just take the weed and grind it up and stick it over your steak dinner like it's parsley and eat it
raw without cooking it.
You know?
Yeah.
Eat it raw. I mean, make it your new thing that you put on all your food. Stick it into smoothies raw and eat it. You're not heating it up. As long as you're not heating it up and eating it, you're going to get acidic compounds. You're not going to destroy water-soluble cannabinoids that people don't even know the names of. You're not going to destroy the hundreds of terpenes in there, or 150 terps you might have. You're going to get flavonoids, and these flavonoids these are the basis of studies right now of some of the most intensive cannabinoid medicine therapies being created. So you're going to get these out of a raw plant, and you're not going to get those out of an oil. I make oils, and they get destroyed. We don't get flavonoids, hardly any.
Right.
So, but you get it when you eat the raw flower. And I'm eating raw flower on purpose, not because I'm desperate. I'm eating it because that's what I need.
That makes sense. So if anyone out there is sitting on some like old bud, with cannabis, or you have some like hemp flower, CBG hemp specifically, is CBD hemp any good for this, or is it something you'd even call?
CBD hemp is good because you got CBDA, all of it, all of it, THCA, THCV, CBDA,
right.
CBDV. You're going to get all of this from raw cannabis. So every single strain you can get is going to be very, very beneficial right now, raw. You can still roll some up and smoke it if you want to get high or get medicated or whatever term, get lifted, whatever term you want to use. I mean, I got a G-Pen Connect over here. I'm putting some CBG crumble in there with some nice little diamonds, THC diamonds, and they get a nice combo. I call that my double trouble crumble. I dab away on that. So of course I'm still going to inhale, and I'm going to use combustion and smoke, but I'm going to eat. Right now I can't smoke much of anything.
Right.
To be honest with you, I'm not a big smoker anyway. I ingest a lot of THC, I'm like an elephant when it comes to eating cannabinoids. It's pretty incredible.
Well, that is probably what's giving you a huge advantage, man. So, can't knock it. That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the average person that's out there that thinks, "Wow, what do I do?" The answers are literally right in their bag of weed.
I think it's definitely a good first step and something that they're not going to even try to test this with coronavirus. It's more like we're doing our own tests, right? Because it's way too far down the list of something they'd even try to. They're not going to make money off of that. They're going to try to find a chemical fix right away, probably.
They're going to, and it's not going to work. And that's why I've formulated a response that's rather intense, and I'm seeking collaborators right now in the hemp industry. Anybody that's a hemp farmer, that is an extractor, that has an extraction lab, that has access to bulk cannabinoids. I don't have the funding to create what I need to create, or the type of bulk constituents I would need to create it. But what I have formulated would make about 70,000 doses with about $15,000 to $16,000 in base ingredients. So we're talking about $12 to $15 for a 30-day supply per person. And that would be an endocannabinoid system booster that would include multiple acidic cannabinoids and oxidative cannabinoids. So you get all of them, and your actual cannabinoid itself. So you would get for example, you would get CBGA in that, you would get CBG in that, you would get CBC in that, and you would get CBL. You would get THCA, you would get THC, and you would get CBN. So it's got multiple, small amounts of multiple different cannabinoids mixed with other very important elements of nature that activate our endocannabinoid system. When we stop and think about it, there's a lot of healthy people in this world that do not use cannabis, and they don't even know what CBD is.
Right.
The reason why they're healthy is because they have an active endocannabinoid system that's running off of nature. They're terpenes from natural exposure to nature, being out hiking, being outside and outdoors and active, sweating and working out is making anandamide, cling to the CB1 receptors, the type of food that's being eaten, omegas being ate. So the person's diet and their activity level and where they're active has a huge impact on their endocannabinoid system health. So right now, we have to look at, during this period of time where we are limited in what we can do, how to stay active.
Yeah.
I saw a media guy recently do a video on the Professional Network running around his house, and I sort of chuckled at him a little bit and thought, well, you're an educator. How come you're not educating? and now I sit here and think he was educating.
Yeah. How to work out in a small space.
And when you work out in a small space. You already know, Cole, you've done enough podcasts. When somebody starts sweating, anandamide production, which is like THC, just goes crazy in your brain. It starts sticking to your CB1 receptors.
Your natural THC.
Your natural THC. So when you add a little bit of CBD and you're taking some CBD naturally and you work out, you're literally getting the health effect of what THC does. Because you're getting more natural THC, and it's clinging to receptors 3 times longer than THC will.
Nice.
So by sweating and using CBD, that's a great way to boost your immunity right now. So anybody sitting in their house going, what do I do, man? This thing's going to get me. Grind up your weed and eat it. Work out and eat some CBD. Buy some CBG from the entity that Cole was talking about, because I only know like 4 or 5 selling it right now. Very few retail product lines on CBG are available, and very few are clean. And I do know that yours are. So it's not like I'm doing a product endorsement or ad here, but I do think that people need to be careful about their sources. And I know right now nobody cares. They're like, look, I just want my cannabinoids, So again, it's sort of like that song. If I could sing, I would be doing the old Bob Dylan hippie thing, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. But it would be, the answer, my friend, is in your bag of weed. You know what I mean? If you don't want to get corona, grind it up and pick out the seeds. You know what I mean? So we need a good musician or somebody that can rap to, get in contact with Mike Robinson here. And I'll give them the lyrics.
That would be cool. It would be a cool song. And hopefully, like, if it cures you, if it gets you out of this and you don't have any like lung fibroid damage or anything like that, then it's done its job well.
That's the scare. That's the scare is with the pain, because I have a lot of really odd shooting pain in both of my lungs towards the upper area of the lungs. That has my doctor the most concerned. That's why she's not going to release me out to the public until she can do a lung x-ray and get the blood serum test done to confirm it's negative, because of fibroid growth. And people that are making light of coronavirus should be aware that this is not like H1N1. Okay, I got that.
You got that one too?
Back in 2009, I got it. Traveling around 2009, I was all over the world that year. And I ended up in October landing back in my pad in Oahu, because I was living in Hawaii at the time, with H1N1 and riding that storm out sicker than crap. But I'll tell you, the only thing that happened with H1N1 and toilet paper was I used a lot of it. No store was out of it. I could get all I needed, okay? There was no long-lasting effect, where this virus has the ability to cause lung damage that is permanent.
Right. And
people are not aware of that. And if you're not aware of that, you don't even know what the coronavirus is and shouldn't be talking about it or posting memes on it. You should learn about it first.
That's the scary thing, like the permanent lung damage and the taking out of the elderly, the people with bad immune systems or, weakened immune systems. This is why I'm working from home, because I don't want to get something at the office and bring it back to Brett or, that kind of thing. So it's something that people have to be aware of. It's a lot of people who are young and they're just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm young. I'm not going to die from this. It's the people that you touch, the people that you run into, the surfaces that you touch. If you are carrying it, that is going to take out, your elderly next door neighbor or something like that. That, you're basically a walking biohazard if you have it and you're just a carrier.
And it's a lot of selfish thinking too. I mean, quit. I mean, when you stop and look at why I'm sitting in this house, I'm in a place where you can still roam around. This is not lockdown city. I mean, go up to San Francisco, you can't leave your house right now.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I'm waiting for the National Guard to roll in. Literally, it's probably will in the next couple
It's the
days.
next step, man. It's the next step.
It's the next step is the National Guard.
Yeah.
But literally, I mean, I made a call to check on myself. So yeah, I mean, this is something where we need to to look at the fact that we've got to take preemptive measures, keep ourselves safe, and not be selfish, not just in hoarding toilet paper and food, but not be selfish in the fact that hey, I can't get sick, I'm young. Well, you can get somebody else sick. You can be a carrier.
Right.
And you don't want to be a carrier. So, and I think that this is a subject that people are just like, I'm reading on the internet, oh, I'm so over it. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're over it?
You're at the very beginning of it, dude. You don't even know.
Yeah.
Get ready for a long haul of being over it.
I'll tell you, the only thing that I can compare this to, and this is a radical comparison, Cole, is a 30-day stint I did with the ACRM back when I was doing my internship as a civil rights lobbyist at the ACLU. I did a 30-day relief mission for one of their branches down in the northern brush of Kenya. And this was 30 days of making food, feeding, 16-hour day. I had epilepsy. Talk about a crazy move. I went to Africa with epilepsy. In a severe form. So I'm seizing. There's no hospitals.
Right.
There's nothing. There was no toilet paper. There was the only difference there is there was beautiful meerkats. There were giraffes and other natural things. There's also snakes that would kill you, the 6-foot mamba. And all kind.
Yeah.
But the closest thing I can compare this to is that. And people that know me know that I'm somebody that's been through 9/11, that lost a loved one in it, and I'll tell you, our nation and even New York did not see the panic that we're seeing globally, not just nationally right now, globally. So anybody and everybody that can offset that by doing something positive, doing something kind, needs to do it. We just need to do it. We need to come together. I said this recently on a different show, and I'll say it again. We can come together. We can unify as people. As an industry, we should be coming together and throwing together our base constituents and saying, hey, let's open a lab just to make something to boost immune systems because we can't make medical claims.
Right.
Well, that's not happening. So
I like your idea of the multivitamin cannabinoid, like just the one cap that has all the cannabinoids in it, like that, like you were saying, like a real booster, like a bio. What was it? A bioavailability? No, what did we say? Oh, homeostasis booster, where it's just like this will help get you evened out. Let's try this. Something
like that. Yeah.
It would be cool if that existed. It would be cool. It's
going to exist.
Yeah.
The formulations. It's been on my whiteboard, perfected. I've been in virtual reality conferences with other researchers overseas because I don't really work with that many in America, going over more advanced formulations and how to add what and other elements from nature. I created a very interesting vegan preservative using a vortex and a honey extract. It's water soluble. Something that I've got a patent application pending on. And you're like, what does this have to do with anything, Mike? Well, this creates a water-soluble preservative that is nothing but omegas, vitamin A, C, E, and D, and literally just loaded with bee pollen.
Nice.
And something that can go into oils, something that will be in the Genevieve's Dream product line down the line.
Cool.
It's what they use to preserve that oil, a patented preservative. So
that's one of the few things on earth that never goes bad. The honey
exactly. So
stays good
honey
forever.
Is something. So when you think about that, right now, everybody look at honey. When you're got allergy season, what does people do? Run after honey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a lot of antibodies are there. The bees have been all over the place. They made the honey after being all over the place. They were exposed to everything. That's why people eat the bee pollen.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people eat the honey. That's the health reason behind it. So, there are just so many things that we can do that are sitting right in our kitchen if we stop the panic and use our brain. And for me, there's no choice. Panicking is not an option.
Yeah. I think we can learn a lot from Douglas Adams and the old like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't panic on the cover of the book kind of thing. Like that's kind of the two big lessons from him we can take away during this. Don't panic, and we're all connected. Like you realize how much everything is connected, where when you see someone has it and then you do the 6 degrees of separation to see how you're connected to that. It's going to get closer and closer every day. These degrees are going to collapse in on each other. And before you know it, like now I know that you have it. It's like, there you go. There's 1 degree of separation now. So like,
and see that's the whole theory that's being used right now too, called the 6 degrees of separation is the whole theory behind social isolation, the whole, or social distancing and the home isolations is the 6 degrees of separation. Mm-hmm. When you sit and think about that, we are not that separated from people that are 100% symptomatic with 104-degree fever.
Right.
We're not that separated from people that have already died from this.
That's true.
Yesterday in this state, it got extremely real for a lot of people when they started reading reports of first it was 3, then it was 4. I think we ended the day with a death count of 6 from our state. Mm-hmm. So people that weren't taking it seriously, nobody even has this. There's only 1,000 people with it. Well, 6 people died yesterday in California from it.
Right. And it's just going to get worse. That's the thing. Like if you look at Italy now, like they're not even able, these hospitals are so full that if you have another ailment, like you're pretty much just going to die because they're not able to treat people who have other ailments than what they're coming in with, like dying right now of, this virus that's attacking them really hardcore. You come in with something that, you need surgery or something like that. The hospitals all the beds are already taken up. It's like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen here? You can see it happening there. That's where the panic starts to set in because you can see it's like,
and it's real.
It's real.
You think about how real this panic is because, I'm somebody that still takes pharmaceutical medications. Anne Marie is in the middle of having consults done for a procedure. I've been holding off procedures because the metastasis to my collarbone is so heavy it fractured both sides of it years ago, and it's only going to hold up. It's literally crumbling. You know what I mean? Like joints are breaking away, and my doctor was like, "Mike, you're going to have to deal with using a little bit of opioids inpatient." This is only a month ago, and now. And here I was preparing myself after the 1 year opioid-free anniversary for me because, I quit using opioids with cannabinoids. Mm-hmm. And I'm preparing, okay, I'll do surgical consults. I'll consider getting this thing fixed. And I'm getting ready to write the plan for all of this as far as when I can get opioids. Because my doctor wanted me to sit down and write something to make an addendum to a document for the hospital that said exactly when. Like, okay, as soon as I get up and walk in inpatient physical therapy, it goes to oral only for 7 days. After 7 days of oral only, it goes to as needed only. Right. Literally making a plan to exit opioids after a surgery that now is not going to happen.
Jeez.
So for a lot of people, my little surgery thing doesn't mean anything because they've got a gallbladder that's been causing them problems. Until they're in an emergency mode and they pass out on the ground ready to die from that gallbladder, they're not even going to get taken into ER.
Nope. No.
That's where we're at right now.
It's just going to get more and more packed. It's scary. Like that. It's reality though. Like we just have to face that as reality and not be so panicked about it. Just know that like there are certain people, if you don't stay in your house and stay away from this, if you don't bubble yourself, put yourself in a real bubble, you're either spreading it or you might get it. So this is the way to stay safe. Like we just went and got a bunch of like food that we can, last for several weeks at least if we have to, like not even open the door practically. And that's what's going on. I rented a storage unit, threw a bunch of my gear and stuff in there, filled the places that I had gear in with food in my apartment because I have a very small apartment. So it's kind of like having to make sure that like I can live in here for extended period of time if possible. And I'll be able to podcast out of here, no problem. So the podcast will keep coming, gang. Don't worry about that. I'm probably going to even do it more frequently because, why not? Let everyone know what's happening and chronicle it, because we're living in it in real time, where we're living in this history. And I definitely want to see more people like Mike who, as different people who are in the cannabis field start to get it, I want to hear your stories and see how you're dealing with it. And if anyone has good tips of something that really worked for them, we want to broadcast that. We want to get that out there, because alternative medicine is going to be far overlooked with this. Everyone's going to be looking towards, what the chemists and the scientists are coming up with as far as vaccines and stuff. But if there's something that can keep you from getting that crazy lung fibrosis while you're healing and you're not being seen by doctors and you're just in your house, like hopefully just eating all that ground up CBG, CBD, THC, like maybe that can help you a lot. I feel weird because like we just did this video about how to use a grinder, and I don't know if I have the audio on my computer at home, but that would have been good to throw on there about how to like grind up weed. I think we might have it somewhere. Like my computer at work has all that shit, but it's just kind of like, I feel sort of, we were scrambling to get as much stuff backed up onto a backup hard drive to take, because I knew I wasn't coming back this week. So it's kind of like, hopefully I've still got it somewhere where I can get someone to get it off the server and get it to me. Because that, like, a lot of people don't even know how to use a grinder or what one is. So it's kind of like the next step of like, if you're going to buy some CBG flower, if you do have a way to get some THC flower, here's how to grind it up. And then, I'll throw that into this episode if I can get my hands on it in time. I want to make sure that we're getting these things out there, because like you said, news changes every day on this. And like I was predicting, like I had said, I guarantee, like when we were talking on Friday, about who's going to be staying home and who's going to be trying to work from the office with a mask on and stuff, and they sent me and Rye home. It was like, I said to them, like, this is sort of like, it's preemptive, but by next Friday, probably everyone here will be working at home. If the whole like chart goes exactly the same it was going in Italy. So now that everything's closing down, like gyms, restaurants, movie theaters, everything that you do in public, like everything that you could do that would be fun to do to kill time when you don't have work. Now, life is changing for a little while, but it's if we stick it out, like the key is sticking it out in your houses. Make sure you have, obviously it's hard to get hands on toilet paper if you don't have any right now, but what the hell do people do if they don't have toilet paper? Mike, any idea? Any suggestions? Like just take a shower?
I ordered 3,000 napkins about a week ago because all of this was happening. Everybody was going nuts over toilet paper. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting behind my desk in my office, and I thought, well, I'll go on Amazon. Uh-huh. And I could not believe that the average roll of toilet paper was $1.75. Mm. I mean, it was like price gouging is going on, which is actually illegal during times like this. Now, Amazon could get away with it because they're not in America. But in America, when you see prices raised, I believe over 10%, and there's quarantines or isolations going on, it's actually a crime.
Right. There's a lot of stuff happening. I just was talking to my mom earlier. She was saying that there's a lot of like Facebook and these other companies where people are they had stockpiled shit like Lysol and toilet paper, and now they're trying to sell it off at a premium or like at a much inflated price. And all these websites are like shutting them down. They're saying, you can't sell like that. You can't gouge people. Like you're part of the problem, like they're making it so they can't make a profit off of it, which is good. 'Cause that's fucked up, man. Like, especially for old people who are at super risk, and now you're making them try to like go from store to store to find toilet paper. That's horrible. Like you're dooming people because you want to make a quick buck on some fucking ass wipes. That's who you are. Yeah. If
and
you
I'm
did
trying
that,
to figure out why. I still don't know why the run for toilet paper happened. I mean, it's like exactly what ran people to, I mean, don't you need canned goods?
Right. Yeah, exactly. We were having that same conversation on the last episode. It's like, why the toilet paper run? It doesn't make sense. I guess if you just assume you're going to be trapped there and you don't want to be, wiping with your fingers or something, that would make sort of sense. But that's someone thinking real long term. Like, how many months are we going to be trapped in our house is the question. If you're going to be buying toilet paper for 8 months.
It was all about blowing your nose and using hand sanitizer.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
As a researcher, I had to dig in and look. I couldn't handle it. I just had to know, so I dug in and I was like, so there was a mad rush to buy a ton of toilet paper and a ton of hand sanitizer so you could blow your nose and wipe your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. During a pandemic, people die and food gets scarce. I mean, I sat there and scratched my head going, this all happens during a pandemic. So it sort of made me wonder who was behind that, because normally there is an entity behind things. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm somebody that is a realist, and I know the truth. And the truth is disruptors exist. There are people paid by our government to disrupt what's going on and paid by other governments to disrupt what goes on in our country. I mean, this is just a reality of our world today, but there had to be something behind the run for hand sanitizer and toilet paper.
Let me guess. It was Big Charmin.
Big Sharma?
Sharma. That's funny.
Big
Sharma.
Big Sharma.
My hiney's clean.
Came after us. Yeah, what?
It's those cartoon bears.
And what blows my mind is one of the things that we have the least of right now is toilet paper. But I do have 3,000 napkins that should be delivered today.
Oh man!
But we only have like maybe a 12-pack of toilet paper, and that's it.
Oh, it's going to be napkin
because
wipes.
We can't get out. Anne Marie doesn't drive.
Mm-hmm.
Genevieve's home from school. I'm supposed to try to not have a ton of contact.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
My doctor's like, we can't quarantine you, Mike, because number one, it's not good for your mental health. Number two, it's not good for your family's mental health. And they're already exposed to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's completely ridiculous to put you in the corner of the house, make you use a bathroom nobody else uses. Literally, this is the way people commit suicide.
Are you Lysoling everything after you touch it each time or something? Are you trying to clean up to make sure they don't get sick?
Yeah, I mean, I clean my phone like probably every 30 minutes. I have hand sanitizer sitting in front of me because I got a ton of that. I wash my hands all the time. Everybody washes their hands all the time. We're clean people, and we're continuing to be clean people. I don't think that every 30 minutes soap and water on my hands is going to do much more than peel skin off eventually.
It sounds like so far you're doing pretty good with it. Like you're, still able to walk around and do your daily stuff and make phone calls and whatnot. So that's good.
Other than the chills and, basically what's diagnosed right now is an upper respiratory infection. You know what I mean? So literally that's what this is. It's an upper respiratory infection that advances. And a lot of people will only get an upper respiratory infection. That's all that's going to happen. So you need to keep in mind, everybody that's panicking needs to keep that one in mind, that this is going to affect a lot of people, but a lot of people are not going to get fully symptomatic at all. And it's going to be the vast majority or not. So,
right.
So anyway, all of us are guessing. We're going to find out what happens when it happens. So anyway, thank you so much once again, Cole. I really appreciate you having me on your show.
Oh, definitely.
And I look forward to doing it once again.
Cool. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. I'll talk to you soon. Get better.
All right. You have a great day. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, peace.
Hi, Anthony Sullivan here for the CBD Source podcast. You've heard the rest. Now listen to the best.
Gang's all here. The CBD Gang. Give the show a call at 1-833-223-4264. That's 1-833-CBD-GANG.
Well, gang, it's always fun talking to Mike, and this is only half of the interview. Next time we continue the conversation, you can check him out on his blog, mikesmedicines.com and carouselchallenge.com. And remember, go back on CBD Source Podcast and check out episode 18 and 36 because that's where we first got to meet him and hear how much he knows about CBD and cannabis in general. And speaking of next time, I, Cole Cheney, am about to start something. I tested this out over the past week, and I think it's going to be fun. My girlfriend has agreed to assist me, so now that I'm recording from home in quarantine, instead of going Instagram Live on Wednesday like we've been doing for the past month, we'll be going live on Instagram in a virtual 420 smoke sesh every weekday, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Instagram and Facebook for the foreseeable future. While we're in lockdown, I want to do this with you, gang. So follow CBD Source Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and around 4:10 p.m. Eastern, join us. We'll take a sesh break from your quarantine. Join us online for a virtual smoke sesh when the clock hits 4:20. I'll be smoking, vaping, tinking, all these different delivery methods, hemp or CBD, at 4:20 on the dot. And wherever you are, gang, you can join me online virtually. And in your house or apartment, you can also smoke with me, vape with me, tink with me. I'm going to be doing it with hemp or CBD at 4:20, but I welcome you to smoke the herb or flower of your choice. It's your quarantine. It's your body. Let's get bristling together. The bristling. Through these live sessions, I'll also be giving away CBD Source Podcast pin prize packs, which have multiple pins for different segments of the show, as well as random nugs of Catskill Hemp Co. CBG. So, want to interact with me, want to interact with the show, and possibly be part of the show? You can message me directly in the live chat. My girlfriend Brett will read them to me so I'll know what's going on and be able to interact with you. But if you really also want to be part of the show in a pre-recorded way, call our toll-free voicemail hotline, 1-833-CBD-GANG. That's 1-833-223-4264. This is a 24-hour free voicemail hotline. Nobody's going to pick up the phone and talk to you. It goes right to voicemail. You can leave up to a 3-minute message for me. If you have questions, CBD stories, cool stories about times you were really high on like dabs or edibles or just smoked way too much, the first time you ever met the weed man, the weirdest, most desperate thing you ate on munchies, how CBD is working for you, things that you've heard on the show that have changed your life, any kind of stories like this, I'd love to hear them and to be able to play them in our live show. How has CBD worked for you? How stocked up are you on your cannabis for the quarantine? You call in, we play your message on the live smoke sesh, and I'll answer and comment on it live. I'll be recording audio as well during these live sessions, and your phone call might end up making the following week's podcast. You know, if this works out, we get a lot of calls and this becomes a fun, interactive thing, we might even make a second episode of the podcast every week that's just a collection of me talking with you, gang. It'll be live audio recorded from the 420 smoke sessions and all of your questions for the week. And it's really worth a shot because this is a good way to get the canna community to get together and smoke together without sharing germs. So gang, next week, 4:20 p.m., every weekday, live on Facebook, we will be seshing together and shooting the shit about CBD, coronavirus, and everything that's happening in that day's events. So CBD gang, make sure to call in anytime you feel that you want to express yourself a little bit. You can be anonymous or you can say your name. If you do want to win a prize, make sure to give us some contact info so I can get in touch with you in DM or DM us. Say your Instagram name or your name on Facebook somewhere in the call if you want to make sure to win a prize pack so I can get in touch with you in the DMs later. So gang, I will CBD you there.
Give the show a call at 1-833-223-4264. That's 1-833-CBD-GANG.
CBD Source Podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Cole Cheney. Graphic design, photo, and artwork by Ryan Weber, Johnny D, Kevin Bierfelt, Steve, and Cole Cheney. Marketing by Penny Spinazzola. Special thanks to our resident CBD guru, Akash Patel, our CBD Source Vape Lounge expert, Anthony Maltese, our C-Body Fitness instructor, Danny, our personal Cannabidiet CBD chef, Ryan Weber, our CBD News co-host and vocal artist, Tasha Miller, and our CBD gang subreddit mod, social media maven, and wrap-up girl Cass. That's me. Additional thanks to Caitlin, Liz, Ryan, and Kevin for lending your vocal talents. Want to be a guest on the show? Or do you have a great Weed Man van story? Or a story about your craziest experience with the munchies? Call us at 1-833-CBD-GANG. Again, that's 1-833-223-4264. And leave a message. We like your story, we might play it on the show. Visit us on CBDSourcePodcast.com for all your links to social media, YouTube, and our message board, r/CBDGang on Reddit. Be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week.
Podcast or its related social media pages and interactions are for informational purposes only. The CBD Source Podcast does not offer medical advice. Its host, Cole Cheney, is not a medical professional. His experiences with cannabidiol and other cannabinoids are his own and may not affect you the same way. Everybody's endocannabinoid system is different. The statements made regarding CBD products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The efficacy of these products and the testimonials made have not been confirmed by FDA-approved research. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All information presented here is not meant as a substitute for or alternative to information from healthcare practitioners. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product. The Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act requires this notice.
Do you like or want to try quality, third-party tested CBD? Do you live in the New York, Pennsylvania area? We got you covered, gang. We're growing more each month, so check in with CBDSourceCenter.com to find our addresses and new store locations. While you're there, sign up for our mailing list. We're adding new stores across New York and Pennsylvania all the time. We may soon be expanding to a town near you.
Hey gang, want to score free CBD? Sign up for Loyal and Save online or on your phone and use it whenever you shop at CBD Source locations. You'll earn points towards free products and other cool merch. Sign up for free at CBDSourcePodcast.com/loyal. You can download the Loyal and Save app on iTunes or Google Play. That's our loyalty app. Call Help designed it.
Thank you for listening to the CBD Source Podcast. This is how we CBDo's it.